Before he can reunite with his friends, Luffy must make an urgent trip to rescue his brother Ace. To do so, he must infiltrate the notoriously well-guarded prison, Impel Down. But is there any hope of making it in? Let alone making it out with an escaped prisoner?
On the next One Piece, a deadly infiltration, the underwater prison Impel Down. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
Luffy splits up from Hancock and infiltrates Impel Down on his own. Although he's able to elude the watchful eyes of security for a time, reaching Ace seems all but impossible. Then, for better or worse, a certain red-nosed criminal appears.
On the next One Piece, a reunion in hell? The man who ate the chop-chop fruit. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
After forming an unlikely alliance, Luffy is able to race through Impel Down thanks to the help of Buggy's chop-chop powers. However, when they make their way to what is known as the Crimson Hell, they discover their descent will not be as swift as it first seemed.
On the next One Piece, break through the Crimson Hell. Buggy's chaos-inducing plan. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
Luffy and Buggy make their way to level 2, where the wild beasts of hell dwell, and they soon find that the strange creatures live up to their reputation. Meanwhile, Hancock reaches the heart of the prison and is greeted by none other than the warden, Magellan.
On the next One Piece, the strongest man in the prison, Poison Man Magellan appears. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
In the history of Impel Down, only one man has ever managed to escape from its walls. His name is Shiki, the Golden Lion. 20 years later, in what we now know as the present, the Straw Hats encounter a giant beetle and find themselves wrapped up in Shiki's plans.
On the next One Piece, a special presentation related to the movie. A Gold Lion's ambition on the move. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
The Straw Hats have landed on an island where settlers from the East Blue live. Surrounded by familiar sights, they're suddenly reminded of home, even in faraway waters. However, the peaceful settlement is soon disrupted from an attack by the Amigo Pirates.
On the next One Piece, a special presentation related to the movie. Little East Blue in danger. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
With Luffy captured, Zoro and Sanji find themselves at a loss against Largo's net powers. As the Straw Hats struggle, the giant beetle learns that he is the target of the Amigo Pirates' attack and makes a grave decision to protect his home.
On the next One Piece, a special presentation related to the movie, The Fierce Onslaught of the Amigo Pirates. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
In hopes of saving the giant beetle and protecting Little East Blue, its citizens follow Nami's secret plan and take to the island's labyrinth-like caves. Meanwhile, Luffy chases after Largo, but finds himself thwarted when Largo transforms his entire body into a net.
On the next One Piece, a special presentation related to the movie. The battle is on! Luffy versus Largo! I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
Luffy and his unlikely companions defeat the Basilisk and race through level 2, only to encounter even more ferocious beasts. Meanwhile, Ace finds himself with an unlikely companion as well, when he exchanges words with a powerful pirate prisoner.
On the next One Piece, a warlord in prison, Jinbei the Honorable Pirate. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
Luffy and company descend to the Starvation Hell, where prisoners are forced to go without food or water, all the while enduring a torturous heat. However, before they can escape this desert-like den of suffering, they fall into the Chief Guard's trap.
On the next One Piece, Chief Guard Soldat's Trap, Level 3, Starvation Hell. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
much tribulation, Impel Down is put on lockdown, and its only exit is sealed, leaving Luffy's chances of success even lower than before. Unaware of this, Luffy continues to ace his floor, only to have another unexpected reunion.
On the next One Piece, the Unleashed Swan, a reunion with Bon Clay. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
Teaming up with Bon Clay, Luffy races from level 3 to level 4, pummeling every blue gurry that dares to stand in their path. But all good things must come to an end, and the powerful demon guard Notorious is ready to do some pummeling of his own.
On the next One Piece, Warden Magellan's strategy, Straw Hat entrapment completed. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
For better or worse, Luffy reunites with Bucky. But shortly after they team up, an accident sends them plummeting into level 4. The situation then becomes desperate when they find that Warden Magellan and all of Impel Down's forces were lying in wait.
On the next One Piece, all forces have gathered. The battle on level 4, the burning heat hell. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
Magellan finally reveals himself, and Luffy stands up to his fearsome venom power, even knowing that a single touch of the Warden's deadly poison could lead to his death. When Bon Clay cowers before the might of Magellan's Hydra, is it a show of weakness, or is the situation truly hopeless after all?
On the next One Piece, Mighty Magellan, Bon Clay bugs out. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
Magellan's venom proves to be an impenetrable wall, chipping away at Luffy's strength and destroying any hope of a counterattack. With nowhere to run, Luffy's desperation to save Ace forces him to make a very grim sacrifice as he prepares for one final attack against his adversary.
On the next One Piece, the showdown has come. Luffy's desperate last attack. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
After losing to Magellan, Luffy is imprisoned on level 5. Even though he knows the Warden's poison has no cure, Bon Clay rushes to his friend's aid, betting on a distant hope. However, before he can reach him, a pack of army wolves blocks his advance.
On the next One Piece, for his friend, Bon Clay's deadly rescue attempt, I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
Bon Clay wanders through level 5 in search of the mysterious missing prisoner, Ivankov. However, the army wolves and bitter cold eventually take their toll, and he collapses from exhaustion in the freezing hell. With Luffy's life dwindling away, who is left to save him?
On the next One Piece, Paradise in Hell, Impel Down level 5.5. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
Rescued by Inazuma, Bon Clay is relieved to hear that Eva will cure Luffy's poison. However, when he discovers the toll that it will take on his friend's body, his joy quickly turns to dread. Now the battle for Luffy's life truly begins.
On the next One Piece, Luffy's treatment begins. Eva's miraculous power. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
Luffy braves Eva's agonizing treatment, even though it has little chance of actually succeeding. Unable to help in any other way, Bon Clay cheers for his friend, praying that his strength of will can prevail. Meanwhile, the guards of Impel Down begin to escort Ace to his place of execution.
On the next One Piece, Believe in Miracles, Bon Clay's Cries from the Heart. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
After Luffy is miraculously cured by Eva's treatment, he prepares to set off on his own, hoping to catch up with Ace. But before he can leave, Eva realizes that Luffy is Dragon's son and decides to lend a hand, revealing that Eva himself is a member of the Revolutionary Army.
On the next One Piece, Luffy back in action. Eva begins the breakout plan. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
Luffy finally reaches the lowest level of Impel Down, the legendary level 6. Unfortunately, he finds that his brother has already been taken away. Desperate to catch Ace before he leaves the prison, Luffy makes chase, but is stopped dead in his tracks by Hannibal's trap.
On the next One Piece, Ace's convoy begins. Battle on the lowest floor, level 6. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
Luffy and his friends recruit Crocodile and Jinbei, forming a plan to catch up to Ace and escape from Impel Down. Meanwhile, Hannibal hatches a plan of his own with the intent of intercepting them on level 4. With nowhere left to run, a full-scale battle breaks out inside the walls of the prison.
On the next One Piece, the ultimate team is formed, shaking Impel Down. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
Luffy and his companions battle their way up to level 4. Meanwhile, the prisoners on level 2 cause a massive riot, plunging the prison into utter chaos. Suddenly, another infamous pirate breaks into Impel Down. But what could be his mission?
On the next One Piece, even more chaos! Blackbeard teach invades! I'm gonna be king of the pirates! Subscribe, you guys! Join our crew on the One Piece YouTube channel!